Hi, everybody. Okay, so now this is our second day of digital learning. Obviously, I'm recording it on the same day, March 16th, but you're watching it on March 18th. Hopefully, you're going to get an idea of what it is that we're going to be doing. Again, I'm going to start with a little SAT quick minute. Today, we're just going to look at one sentence on this thing, and then I'm going to have you go to Khan Academy again. So let's take a look at our sentence for today. So today's sentence, number 3, right here. In her spare time, Renata spoke to the iguanas, ran with the wild boars, and was climbing coconut trees. A couple things I'm going to point out to you on this one. So first, commas are all correct in this one. In her spare time is in a positive phrase that introduces the sentence. Again, it's in the right place because it describes Renata, and that works well. We have 2 commas because we're giving a list of the things that she likes to do. Spoke to the iguanas, comma, ran with the wild boars, comma, and was climbing coconut trees. This comma right here, the one before the and, is referred to as the Oxford comma. Some people say that it is not required to have a comma there because you have the word and. However, the SAT says you should have an Oxford comma, so you should always have a comma before the and in a list. All right, but this sentence is really about something called parallelism, which we talked about before we went on this whole coronavirus hiatus. So parallelism is about the idea that each verb, remember, needs to be the same in the sentence. So we have, in this case, Renata spoke, she ran, and was climbing. So obviously, was climbing, this verb does not match with the other verbs. So we want it to match. So it should be Renata spoke, Renata ran, and climbed. So this sentence should be, in her spare time, Renata spoke to the iguanas, ran with the wild boars, and climbed coconut trees. All right, that's it for today with our little SAT quick minute. So now, again, you want to go to Khan Academy. We're going to go there. I'm going to quick switch out so it looks like your dashboard, not mine. So here's your home dashboard, and you should see when you log on right away that there is an assignment, an active assignment for you. This one was yesterday's assignment. I'll be putting a new assignment up there today and it'll be due by 11 p.m., just like everything else. Once again, that's the active. All you have to do is press the start button here. If you are missing things from past lessons, then you want to go and do one of those. Okay, so that's Khan Academy. That's the next thing. All right, so now today, if you notice from your to-do form, we're going to be taking a look at Major Paper 4. So Major Paper 4, the first step, remember I gave you those folders with all the information in it from class before we left on break. So Major Paper 4 is the paper that you're going to be doing, collecting a portfolio of materials that you are going to use to help you apply to college. So today's lesson is on resume writing. So if you look at the sample resume that I gave you, you'll see that the format for the resume is pretty simple. And I'll go walk over that a little bit for you. But a couple things I want to talk to you about in advance is that, number one, think about what makes you unique. What makes you you? What makes people recognize you as a unique individual? And that's particularly for the adjectives at the top. And I'll take a look at those in a second. So you want to think about what sets me apart from everybody else who's including information in their resume. And you want to think, okay, I'm a dedicated student, but isn't every AP and honors student kind of dedicated, or else you'd be in regular level English, right? So you want to think about what are some other adjectives that you can use. All right, in the co-curricular section, you want to include everything that you've been doing since you started high school And you want to include leadership activities that you've had within that organization. Especially, you want to start with the ones that are related to your major or career, and then you want to move things around so that the ones that are, just things that you're involved with, but not something you necessarily want to pursue in the future or not related to your major career, maybe you'll be at the end. Awards and honors. Now, you can include scholarships or not for like giving resumes out for people to write letters of recommendation for you. You want to show yourself as having received some scholarships. But if you're including a resume in a scholarship application, you don't necessarily need to reveal that you're already gotten $10,000 in scholarships. So you might want to have 2 different resumes eventually for yourself. One that you're going to send off to colleges and scholarships, and one that you're going to use for people who are writing letters of recommendation for you. All right, once you get down into the community involvement section, that can be information of things that you've done beyond high school. So like community involvement isn't, and co-curricular for that matter, isn't just things that you've done as part of the school. So co-curricular, if you've been on travel baseball, or if you've done Boy Scouts or something like that outside of school, if you're in equestrian riding lessons, or if you take guitar lessons, or whatever it is, that's co-curricular. That's something that is part of like learning, but also something that you can say is something you do outside of school. You put those on there. Community involvement doesn't have to be connected to the school. If you are involved in something with your church, 4-H, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, whatever it is that you've done, and if it's something you've done for a long period of time, you include the whole period of time on there. All right. And then if you have a job outside high school, you want to include part-time work and how many hours of work that you've done that job. Okay, let's take a look at the sample ones that I gave you for Major Paper 4. All right, here it is. My high school sample resume. All right, so you'll notice that at the top, my name is in bold, and that is kind of an important thing. You want it to sort of stand out for the people to see. Who are you? Underneath that, you have your address and phone number. I would, if you have a separate, like obviously cell phones didn't exist when I was in high school, so I only have my home phone number, but you should have both, and you should label it home and cell. Or if you don't have a home phone, still label it cell, because then people know that they can text you to that number. And then also, computers didn't exist, or they were just on the start of computers existing when I went to college. So I didn't have an email, but you want to add your email. At this point, I want you to think about this too. If your email address is something that you created when you were 8 years old, and it's something like Pretty Kitty or I Love Minecraft, or whatever it is, create an email now that is more professional sounding, and that's something that you can use for all of your college applications in the future. So last name, first name, maybe year of birth or something like that, because that way it's, more professional sounding than Pretty Kitty 152. Okay. Next, so this academic standing thing, this is something that only typically goes on college emails or resumes for college. If you're applying for a job, you obviously don't need that. So that right there, this here, you have academic standing, your current GPA, your class rank out of how many people you have in your class, and I typically provide that for you. So if you don't know what your class rank is, I'll be contacting the guidance counselors, and I'll let you know what your current class rank is out of how many kids are in your class. And that'll be happening at some point today or tomorrow, so that you can see what that is. And then last, we took the ACT, so you want to put in your SAT. For right now, because you haven't taken the official SAT, or not many of you have, just put SAT score and leave it blank, and then we can add it once you actually take the SAT. Okay, Objective and goal statement. I knew when I was a junior in high school exactly where I wanted to go to school, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. That may not be the case for you. You might be looking at this and say, okay, I want to go to a 4-year university. Awesome. You may know what you want to major in. So then you'll say, majoring in English or whatever. But you may not know what your future career is. So you put that, you don't have to include that future career part. You say as much as you can. I want to attend a 4-year university. I'm interested in a field relating to math and science, or I'm interested in aviation, or whatever it is you're interested in. That's what that objective career statement is all about. Okay, here's the character traits that I talked to you about. Now, the one thing that I would change, I was very motivated. I always wanted to be the best and to do the best. So I would change motivation here to something else, because most kids applying to college who are coming from a background like yours are motivated. So you want to think about, like, what's another word that I could use for that, or how can I set myself apart? Artistic is a really good one for me, because that was like very specific to who I was, and not everyone could use that. So you kind of want to think about, what is a way that I can describe myself? You want to make sure that all of this is aligned like that. Enter tab so that everything kind of comes over. You don't want this of them to be all the way over at the other end of the margin here. You want this to be a nice, clean cut division. All right, here's those co-curricular interests. If I were to do this all over again, I would move the things that were related to what I was planning on doing, like Interscholastic Forensics Association, All-State Play, International Thespian Society, yearbook staff. Those would go first, because I wasn't planning on a career in being a cheerleader, nor was I planning on a career in track or intramural softball. And I had no intention of being a future business leader. They just wanted me to be in it because there was a public speaking competition, and I was really good at public speaking. So I would move this around so that the things that were important for my future career would be first. Here's that awards and honors section. You may not have a lot right now, but you will be adding things to it as you go along. This is where you can also include, like, things that you might have been nominated for. So if you were nominated for Student of the Month, if you were nominated in, like, I know theater does awards at the end of the year. So if you didn't win Best Rookie, maybe you were nominated for Best Rookie. So you can put nominations in that awards and honors section as well. Okay, community involvement and volunteerism. So I did phone canvassing for muscular dystrophy as part of 4-H, but they didn't need to know that. Like, you do a lot of things like volunteerism, probably through NHS, because you have to keep up those hours. They don't need to know that it was part of NHS. Put the activity down separate, and it honestly looks a little bit more impressive. All right, so you notice that I have 4-H here, but I don't say that I did phone canvassing or state cleanup day or any of that through 4-H. It makes it look like I did it on my own. Just makes it more impressive. And then work experience down here. So you want to include the time period that you were there. So I was a counter girl at Dairy Queen, and I was promoted to manager. And then after being manager for like less than that summer, basically, I quit because I got a job at Vlasic Pickle Factory as a forklift driver in the summer. That should not be a capital U. And you want to put the difference between summer and school year. So I worked 10 hours a week during the school year, but during the summer, when I was promoted to manager, I worked 30 hours. But when I got a job at the pickle factory as summer employment, then I was working 40 hours a week. And present, that's because that's when I was applying to high school. I'm not still a forklift driver. Okay. I hope that answers any of the questions you have. Again, send me an email or a reminder if you have questions about the resume. I'd like you to work on this today, and part of your assignment, the thing that I'm going to ask you to do tomorrow, is to submit it via Schoology. All right. I still miss your faces. See you soon, I hope.